Hey there guys, Ormcast back with a new video today. So, Creature Commandos finale just dropped and I've finished the entire series now, and I basically just want to give you my thoughts on it and like the potential future for season 2 and the future of the DCU in like general basically, and how this is going to connect into the wider DCU. But yeah, the finale dropped today and oh my god, that was so good. So good. Honestly, guys, like there was some bits in this where I was like, it got me like really upset, like especially when seeing like the backstories in each episode for each member of the Creature Commandos, like their origins and their backstories were just like really emotional to see, and really heartbreaking at times. But yeah, but this show like delivered on that part, and like the comedic like comedy like aspects of this show as well were really funny too, and they hit the mark with that in my opinion. And the animation as well for this show was just amazing. Like I really like the look of the animation style for this, to be honest. So yeah, but yeah, this show, like, because I knew nothing about the Creature Commandos before this really. I think I seen like one thing with the Creature Commandos before this show, before this ever got announced, like years ago. With like the original team, I think it was in like the Brave and the Bold Batman cartoon. But yeah, or something else might have been. But besides that, I had no idea who the Creature Commandos were before this got announced. But this show is just like really like educated me in that, and I've obviously done research into the other members in the comics as well that aren't in this show or do appear in this show. But yeah, this show is just really cool, and the amount of Easter eggs in this show was absolutely crazy, and the sort of like cameos too that we get in the show too were just amazing, even if they weren't like proper cameos. But yeah, but we've got roughly under 6 months now, roughly, till Superman drops, which is the next DCU project. So yeah, I mean it's a good start for the DCU in my opinion, to be honest. We'll just have to see what Superman says next. But yeah, let's go into Creature Commandos though. So I want to go into each member of the squad basically. So the lineup for this show was just really cool. So we had Rick Flag Senior, Dr. Phosphorus, Weasel, The Bride, Frankenstein, who wasn't really part of the squad but he's in the show basically, Nina Mazursky, and G.I. Robot, part of the team basically. And what do I think of this lineup? I think it's pretty solid lineup, to be honest, from the start, and I really enjoyed it. Like each member and their backstories and that, to be honest. But yeah, them working together as a team was kind of funny at times because they've all got their own views and opinions and that. But yeah, the actual squad itself, I really enjoyed, to be honest, of the lineup in this show. So let's get into Rick Flag Senior. So Rick Flag Senior, he's obviously an interesting character because we've met his son before in like the Suicide Squad films, basically. Rick Flag Jr. that was played by Joel Kinnaman, but Rick Flag Senior is obviously played by Frank Grillo in this show, and he does an amazing job, to be honest, as Rick Flag Senior. And we know that he's going to be reprising the role in live action as well in Superman and Peacemaker season 2. So yeah, it's really fun to see that actually happening, because obviously James Gunn did say that these characters, they want the same actors that are voicing them to play them in live action or video games or etc. basically in the future, which is cool. But yeah, seeing Rick Flag Senior was pretty cool in this. It's pretty funny, him where he gets like seduced and tricked by the princess basically. Um, you get that little steamy sex scene and all that basically. between them, and him leading the team as well was pretty fun seeing. And his fight, oh my god, his fight with Clayface was awesome, and like Clayface absolutely destroyed him. He did a Bane on Rick Flag Senior. Like, it was absolutely crazy seeing that. But that's another thing I will talk about, but I'll get into Clayface later in the video. But overall, seeing Rick Flag in this was really fun. He's an interesting character, and it'll be interesting to see where he is at in the future in Superman and Peacemaker, but we'll just have to wait and see really what happens with his character in the future. So now I want to get into The Bride, and I guess we'll talk about Frankenstein as well. So The Bride in this was actually really sick, to be honest. Same with Frankenstein, but Frankenstein was more... He's a bit of an odd one, but he's more there for like the comedic side of it, like the story basically. He hasn't like actually joined the creature commandos in the show. He's just like, basically he loves the bride and the bride doesn't love him. Basically he's been stalking her for like over like 100 odd years, a couple 100 years or whatever basically. And because Victor Frankenstein, who's obviously the one that creates Frankenstein, made a bride for her, but the bride didn't love Frankenstein, and she obviously ended up falling in love with Victor Frankenstein, and then that didn't end well for him, so Frankenstein killed him, and then she didn't like that, so she went mental basically, and then they keep meeting at different points in like history basically, which was pretty funny just seeing them go each other. And then we do see in the finale that with Rick Flag Senior's help from the previous episodes, basically Frankenstein does try warn the bride basically from stopping her to trying to kill the princess basically. But and then seeing his face, because Frankenstein basically acts like a baby in this show, that's the thing, like a toddler, and he thinks he's like best friends with Rick Flag Senior after they had their little fight or whatever, and it was just like really funny, to be honest. And some of the stuff that Frankenstein does, where he just killed that old lady, that blind old lady in that, and just killed like so many people. I just think, bloody hell, because his brain is like probably so small, he ain't got a concept of it, of like human emotions and that. But yeah, that's Frankenstein. And then the bride, she's just like, she's very much a loner. To be honest, she doesn't really want to make friends or anything. She tries to keep to herself, and she just wants to be free or left alone basically. But at the end of the show, she ends up leading the team. So yeah, The Bride was pretty cool. I think if we're going to see anyone else in live action after Rick Flag Senior from this show, I reckon it'll either be Frankenstein or Bride next, or Weasel probably, but I reckon one of them, but we'll come into it. But yeah, who knows what the future holds for these characters, for the Bride, for Frankenstein and that, and the others. So yeah, we've also got G.I. Robot. G.I. Robot was a very interesting one, to be honest. So he is from the Second World War. Basically, he's basically just a robot that likes killing. I won't say the word just because of the this video gets more like put down or something by YouTube or whatever. But yeah, you could probably guess what I'm gonna say. But yeah, he likes killing a certain type of people. Basically, if you know, you know. But yeah. So yeah, G.I. Robot is a really funny character. Like he just kept like making me laugh and that, and yeah, he was just one of those characters, and it was really surprising to see him get destroyed like so early on in the show by Cersei. Like I was really shocked by that. But saying that though, I'm not surprised by James Gunn because obviously he did kill a lot of people like off in the Suicide Squad and that. So I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, it was a shock to see that because he was like pretty decent, like pretty sick character in my opinion, to be honest. And yeah, I thought he was pretty cool. But yeah, and then seeing him at the end of the season, oh my god, where he's on the spoiler alert, where we meet the new team, which is going to be appearing in the second season, I'm guessing, because we know that this show's been renewed for a second season as well, and potentially in live action we'll see something maybe one day. But seeing G.I. Robot built back together, but he's like a giant like tank now, or like mech robot thing basically, which is like crazy. So I don't know where they're going to go with that, but yeah, G.I. Robot was so sick, and seeing him back in World War Two as well, with Easy Company and Sergeant Rock as well, and we get to meet Will Magnus. So Sergeant Rock has been rumoured to be getting his own like film or something apparently with Daniel Craig, which is pretty sick. Because Sergeant Rock is like one of those characters which is very obscure, to be honest. The same with Will Magnus, he's like obscure character. But yeah, Sergeant Rock, seeing him in the Easy Company was pretty sick. So I imagine if we get a project with that in the future, that would be like a war film or something. But yeah, I can't wait for that, if that does actually happen. Seeing Will Magnus, though, is an interesting one because in the comics, Will Magnus is the creator of the Metal Men, and we got a hint of that in this show. It seems that from what we saw in this show, G.I. Robot is like basically a sort of like prototype, even though he wasn't made by Will Magnus, is going to be the reason, or like an early version in like his research of creating the Metal Men from the comics, because he is the creator of the Metal Men in the comics. But because we do see the Element logos in the on the billboard in the show, which was interesting. So we'll see where this goes. Will we get a Metal Men project or something in the future? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, seeing G.I. Robot's connection with Sergeant Rock and Will Magnus and that, and seeing his backstory in general was really cool. And I really do wish we get to see more of him in the future, which seems like we will. So, let's talk about Weasel. Man, Weasel had the saddest story in my opinion. Like, I felt so bad for Weasel once you see why he was put in prison, because from the Suicide Squad movie we learned that he killed like 7 or 28 odd children apparently. That's why he was put in prison. But we get to see like the actual flashback of when Weasel's having a dream before they go back to Palakistan, I think the country was called in the show. Yeah. But we see the backstory for Weasel, man, and honestly, I just feel so bad for him, to be honest. Like, everyone thought, like, the reason that old man saw Weasel playing with these kids, he thought that he was going to try and eat those kids. That's basically what that old man thought. But he got the wrong idea and then accidentally shot the I think it's like the gas or like the fuel canister in the school, whatever, in the basement, because for some reason this school was left unlocked. And then obviously the bottle of alcohol obviously spilled everywhere, and then the lighter and all that ignited the flames and out of the building basically, and then it all went up. Most of the children were killed, and except for the little girl who Weasel did try and save, but the cops saw otherwise, and they thought that the Weasel was trying to basically eat her, basically, I'm assuming, and they got the wrong idea. But it was just so sad. Just seeing the Weasel's backstory, why he was put in prison, like he was innocent after all, which is the hard truth of it. But yeah, like seeing Weasel in this show was just really cool and really funny. And then him seeing the princess as well, thinking that the princess was the little girl, like all grown up, was something else as well. Very emotional, but yeah, I feel really bad for Weasel, to be honest. But man, if we ever see Weasel in live action again, they need to upgrade his look in live action. Because what we saw in live action in the Suicide Squad compared to the show, oh my god. You look at the live action version and just think it looks funny, but I just think, oh my god. Compared to the animation style, I know animation and live action is different, but because that's the only live action version of the character we've seen so far, basically, if you think about it. But yeah, hopefully we'll see more of Weasel in the future. So we've also got Dr. Phosphorus, sorry. So he was an interesting character, I must say. He was probably the most evil member of the team, in my opinion, to be honest. Like, he was like an actual villain, basically. And we do get his backstory as well in this show. But yeah, seeing some of the ways he kills some people in this show were absolutely brutal, honestly. Like, and we see his backstory with his family. Like, he was a scientist working on like nuclear physics, basically trying to find a way to cure cancer, it seemed. And it had connections to Rupert Thorne, who's obviously a Batman villain as well, like Dr. Phosphorus in the comics, or Phosphorus. Yeah, so you've got Rupert Thorne had connections with him and murdered his family and that, and then put him in the machine that created him, basically, to turn into like a supervillain. So, and then obviously in the backstory we do see him go after Rupert Thorne and kill his family and take down his organisation and like take control of it as well, like his money business, his like drug business and all that, and like every single business that he's got. And we see that this is taking place in Gotham as well. So we get our first look at the DCU Gotham, which was pretty sick. And we get to see him become like this sort of like pimp, it seems, and get his own gang once he takes over Rupert Thorne's organisation. But we do learn that he's been active for like 15 years basically in prison. So, and we do see that it seems like Batman puts him in Belle Reve. So, and we got our first look at the DCU Batman, even though it was just a silhouette and that. But yeah, that was pretty cool seeing that. But seeing him in the finale and that as well, oh mate, he just, the way he kills people is absolutely brutal. No longer Batman had to get involved, honestly. But yeah, and we get a little glimpse of Iceberg Lounge as well, it seemed, in this, in his backstory, where he's dressed up as a pimp and that, going to the club. But yeah, he was a funny character. But seeing him interact with that child as well, I was kind of worried, is he going to kill the child or is he not? But I'm glad that he didn't, because we know he killed Rupert Thorne's children, so, but I'm glad he didn't. But yeah, he's just a very interesting character, and he's probably the most evil one on the actual team, to be honest. But yeah, that's the Dr. Phosphorus for you. So yeah. Now, the last member of the team I will talk about is Nina Mazursky. Oh my god, Nina Mazursky was literally like the heart of the team. Like she was like the innocent one of the team. Um, yeah, like she just wasn't a killer or anything. Like she was just she was probably like the nicest one of the team. She was always nice to all the other members of the team. She just wanted to like do her thing basically. But spoiler alert: if you haven't seen the finale, she gets killed by the princess while they're in the swimming pool or whatever basically. So yeah, the princess ends up killing her, but we get to see her backstory in the finale, and we get a glimpse of Star City, and it seems like Nima Zursk and her father are from, and we do see her mother as well in Star City. But yeah, the backstory with her father and Nina was very sad, to be honest. Um, and yeah, and seeing the cop just randomly just shoot her father was just not needed at all. And then seeing her like just upset and all that wasn't great. But so I'm guessing because this is Star City, maybe Green Arrow isn't around yet. Maybe, but who knows? That's just a guess. But obviously, we get a Bloodhaven reference as well in this episode. But yeah, seeing Nina in this show was really. She was the heart of the show, basically. Like, she was the nicest one out of the whole group. But yeah, just seeing the way she went out was just not needed by the princess, and we knew by the end that the princess was evil and had evil intents from the beginning. But yeah, it just didn't go the way we thought we were going. But yeah, Nina Mazursky, she was a cool character as well, to be honest. I really enjoyed her character arc in this. We do get some other characters returning, such as John Economos and Amanda Waller as well, who we've seen in live action already from Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, and etc. basically. And we know that Peacemaker Season 2 is on the way, where John Economos will probably be back, and I imagine Amanda Waller will be in it as well. And we know that we're getting a Waller TV show as well. So seeing them two back from representing Argus with Rick Flag Sr. and that, and Belle Reeve, was pretty cool seeing them. And yeah, how Cersei played Amanda Waller. Whew. Yeah, we know that the princess had evil intentions because we saw that vision from Cersei, and we know it's got something to do with Grodd and Clayface as well. Because Clayface was in on it with the princess. So, and was pretending to be that Themysciran like professor basically, who's like an expert on Themyscira and like the Amazons basically. So, and we know Cersei was forming like her own army, like called the Sons of Themyscira. So, is this like a bigger plan or something bigger going on? Like, I don't know, to be honest. Like, we know that the Clayface we see in the show, which was really cool to see, I won't lie, is getting a movie. So the Clayface we see in Creature Commandos is getting a movie from Mike Flanagan in the new DCU, so just like a solo film. I do wonder if that's going to be sort of like a sort of horror sort of kind of film or psychological film, the Clayface film, but who knows. But how is this going to tie into everything? I got a feeling that this is all like a play. This is just me predicting something that maybe one day we might be leading up to something to do with the Legion of Doom, where like Gorilla Grodd is involved, you have Clayface involved, and possibly Cersei as well. So who knows? I mean, that would be a good lineup for Legion of Doom or something, but who knows? I don't know. But yeah, let's get into that vision that we saw as well. So yeah, as you can see, playing in the background, we see the princess with Gorilla Grodd, and seems her country, they're invading the rest of the world in a dark vision in the future. Yeah, and then we get this Justice League lineup, it seems, with all these dead heroes, which the princess and Grodd have seemingly killed, and we get to see David Cornsweat's Superman there as well. But yeah, but even Cersei seems like she's trying to kill the princess to stop it, so I don't know what the plan is for Cersei in the future, to be honest. But yeah, we get to see something. But now that the princess has been killed, because spoiler alert, the bride killed the princess for killing Nina. She said she wouldn't do it to save the world or anything like that, or on the orders of the US government or anything like that. She was doing it because the bride considered Nina as her only friend, and the princess took her from her. But yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit baffled by it. Does this mean that the timeline's been changed now? The future's been changed now that the princess has been killed? Or I don't know, because somehow the princess had a connection with Grodd and Clayface, and who knows what the connection with Cersei was, but it might be lead to something bigger, who knows. But let's get into those heroes that we see in that vision. So we do get to see Wonder Woman's headband on the floor covered in blood, and Wonder Woman dead. Seems like we see Hawk Girl too. You've also got a look at a Robin, which might be Damian Wayne too, and the person in the back I can't tell. So you got Superman, you got Starfire, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Garner's Green Lantern, it looks like. But yeah, we also get a look at Batman with his cape covering him. You can't really tell who it is or anything, but and then we do see the iconic cape of Superman, the death of Superman on the flag, sort of iconic look from the comics of the death of Superman. But yeah, what does this mean for the future, and how does this tie in with Grodd and that and the other villains? Who knows. We also got a glimpse of Swamp Thing and Judo Master and Peacemaker from this concept art as well, which looks pretty decent. But yeah, guys, let's talk about the ending with the new team of the Creature Commandos that we see at the end, and the post-credit scene. So let's just get the post-credit scene out of the way. So the post-credit scene isn't really anything special, to be honest. We obviously just see Frankenstein get saved by one of these gypsy ladies, basically, that we saw earlier on in the season, after being shot by the bride in the finale. But yeah, and they were just talking about the soup, and just going back to a joke that was done in a couple episodes ago, in his flashback. But that's pretty much it for that. So we also see the new team that we're going to see in the season 2 potentially. So we see, obviously, the bride is on it. You got Khaleesi, who I think is the new mummy character. You have Weasel, obviously, GI Robot, who's been put back together, but he looks like an absolute mech tank now. Nosferatu, which is the vampire looking monster. Dr. Phosphorus, obviously, and at the end we see King Shark at the end, who the last time we saw was in the Suicide Squad film, which was interesting. But yeah, the lineup, it looks really fun for season 2, and I just can't wait. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed this one, then leave a like and a subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on the show. Did you enjoy it or not? But yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next one.